I love this idea of doing a Q&A. Like, yeah, I like this idea.
So what we've done is taken questions from Reddit, YouTube, Instagram. Some of the questions are directly on, you know, our content. Other questions are from other people's content. Safeway, Trader Joe's, Sprouts, or Whole Foods?
Oh boy.
Which would you choose to shop at and why?
Safeway, Whole Foods, Sprouts, and Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I got my horse. I'll let you guys.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm a Sprouts guy. I'm a big Sprouts guy. And let me tell you why. So I consider Sprouts to be the love child of Whole Foods and Trader Joe's.
I was going to say
love
the same
child.
thing.
Because, you know, Trader Joe's, good prices, but somewhat limited selection. Whole Foods, better selection, whole paycheck, sell your car. Sprouts, right in the middle. It has more selection than Trader Joe's of, you know, quality, healthy products versus Safeway is kind of the mainstream stuff. But it's less expensive than Whole Foods. And I could dive into the produce, I could dive into the prepackaged, all of those idiosyncrasies. But that's my horse in the race. I'm a Sprouts guy.
I'm exactly with you on that. And I never used to be that because Sprouts was like inconvenient.
It is inconvenient.
It's inconvenient for us just from a geographic perspective. But like we've been doing a lot more road tripping and stuff. And like we pulled into some really great Sprouts stores. One of the things I don't like about Trader Joe's is their small footprint. It limits their selection, but it also annoys the shit out of me when I'm trying to maneuver.
There's too many damn people in there,
dude,
and
like,
too many employees on the floor constantly.
So annoying. I'm sure that's not what people want to know about. I think it's probably more about like the food selection. Produce just all day long kills anything you could ever get at Trader Joe's, as far as I'm concerned, with Sprouts. I think there's way more.
It's definitely very seasonal at Sprouts,
which I appreciate. That I think you know, if I'm doing if I'm thinking this way, like I should be eating seasonally. I should be eating what's fresh, what's available to me in my region, you know, specific to foods. If you've got foods coming in from other countries because they can grow them there due to climate differences, as a matter of convenience for you at your local grocery store, you should be thinking about like, well, how long that thing been on a ship for? How long has it been on a truck for? Where is it coming from? Are the places that was grown, like, do they have...
regulations are in place.
Are they paying attention? And again, a lot of people go, well, yeah, the whole organic label is bullshit anyway. Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah, you're not wrong. Like there's a lot of gray area there. But eating seasonally, I think, is number one, keeps things, you got things changing up for you. You're staying in rotation, right? You're not eating the same stuff all the time. So you're exposing yourself to, in this case, different phytonutrients, different vitamin, mineral, and micronutrient and phytochemical profiles, that kind of thing. I'll go back, and then the other part there was like the meats and selections there. I think they tend to be more fresh and less messed with.
Yeah, but yeah, Trader Joe's, as far as that's of those four, I would go to Safeway to get meat before I would go to Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's, their meat selection is not very good, and yeah, I got a New York steak from Trader Joe's a week or two ago. It sucked. Yeah, it was not good.
I got a bone to pick.
Oh.
No pun intended with Whole Foods with regard to their meat. But anyway, Cece, where do you stand on this?
You know, I really like Trader Joe's because I do like the size of it. It's small. It's not as overwhelming for me because when I go into a huge supermarket, I'm like, oh, wow, where do I go? Where do I shop? And I think every Trader Joe's is pretty much set up the same. So I do like going there. I think that, you know, their produce, it's accessible. They have a lot of things that are packaged organically, like your lettuces and your arugulas and those types of things. So it's easy to go in. It's dependable. I do like Sprouts, but for me, it's a 20, 25-minute drive. And so, you know, Trader Joe's is literally down the street. Whole Foods, I go there by default just because it's convenient. But, you know, it is expensive, like you say, a whole paycheck. And then the whole thing as far as just like, it's just overwhelming kind of to me. And then as far as Safeway, you know, I do like Safeway. I will sometimes go there for meats or some canned items that I do want. But, you know, the Safeway by us, I don't like going there because I don't feel safe. And I think it's dingy and dirty in there. So the Safeway I will go to is the one when I go pick up my daughter. And it's considered the richer people's Safeway versus the poor people's Safeway.
Yeah, Safeways can kind of vary. No, you're right. Yeah, there can be a.
Like I feel like I'm going to get accosted in the parking lot at Safeway.
Oh, you will.
One by us.
Not you. You might. You will. There's something to be said for that, kind of where they put these stores and what your shopping experience is like. Well, last thing I'll say, I can move on from this topic, but the Whole Foods thing. I mean, people have heard us, sort of confront Whole Foods on this show before, but one of the things with Whole Foods, particularly in the last 2 years, is what Amazon has done to that company, that shopping experience, the quality of food or lack thereof that's coming into that store. For me, I will avoid that place at all costs. And going back to the meat section, you go back there, it all started with this should be organic, locally, raised, farmed, so forth. And they have their little meat scale, or their categories, like where it came from, how it was raised. Go into that place and try to find, naturally and non-farm raised fish. You won't find it, at least not at our store. So I can't get anything that hasn't been raised on a farm. We should do an episode on fish farming and what they feed these things and how they do that.
What are your tilapia actually?
What's in that farm raised salmon that you're getting? Like, it's disgusting, and it's scary at the same time. But that said, you go back there and you would expect, again, Whole Foods to have a really good meat selection, and occasionally I will buy meat there. Doesn't hold a candle to the little Italian market around the street from us.
I was just gonna say,
where I can get 10 times the meat for the same less cost, and I'm just ultimately more satisfied.
Shop local. All right, nutrition labels. How accurate are nutrition labels, and can nutrition labels lie?
They are not entirely accurate. Lying is probably that would probably be a strong word. But what I have heard in the past is up to 25% variance.
I was going to say, I've heard,
what
15.
is on the label.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be right on the money. And I don't think you can't really expect labels to be right on the money because there's going to be variability in the packaging process. And to really know exactly caloric content or macro content of food requires being in a controlled laboratory environment with a calorimeter. It's just not practical.
I was gonna say, isn't there a thing too where, as far as calories or the ingredients on a food label, if it has a certain percentage, then it's on the label. But if it's under a certain percentage, then they don't have to list it. Yeah.
Yes. So I think there's two ways to look at this: lying and, let's just say, working within the confines of what the actual laws are. So what constitutes a lie versus I'm still working inside the gray area of what others.
I'm not required to disclose that.
So why would I? Yeah. And then also the ingredients label. And so to your point, Stephen, I think when you're looking at calories, macros per serving, calories per serving, to expect that that's going to be 100% accurate, that's unreasonable, because there's going to be variances in everything. That piece of meat that's sitting next to that other piece of meat underneath the in the cellophane or underneath the cellophane. Sorry, there's no way you could say exactly what's in there. Like that tub of yogurt or that cup of yogurt. There's going to be variances either way. But I think you can, in those cases, you're probably a little bit closer. But was there a little bit more sugar in this container than that container? I don't think it's reasonable to think that. I think when you're looking at ingredients, I think if there's going to be any lying or dishonesty, I think that's probably where you're gonna find it, particularly in these prepackaged foods, because there's no way to tell whether some of that stuff is or isn't, and you could very easily leave something off. Now, that said, going back to the other things with regard to macros and micros, we're splitting hairs at a lot of levels here. How many calories? I don't think it's so gross. You said 25% is a lot. That's a pretty big gap. But again, I think for those people that are maybe looking at that, they're going to be splitting hairs. I think what's more important is that you're consistent with whatever it is that you are buying, and understand the larger factors that go into what it is that you're eating. Okay, if this was off a few grams of fat or a few grams of carbohydrate or whatever, is that really enough to impact me or send me over the top, with regard to my goals? If that's the case, then you probably shouldn't be buying a prepackaged food. If you're that concerned, you should probably be building something.
Yeah, if you're
from scratch.
if you're looking for that level of precision,
Yeah, good luck.
Very few
luck.
people are. Very few people need that level of precision. So yeah, it's like you said, splitting hairs.
I'll say one last thing, and that is like, I'm not going to sign off with your bullshit and you blaming some nutrition label for your ability to lose or not lose fat or gain muscle or not gain muscle. It's not the food label that's
food
keeping
lied
you
to me.
Yeah,
what are you saying? It misled me.
The reason you're not losing weight on the scale is nothing. It's not because of that food label. There's something else.
Some of these questions are just hilarious. All right. I still don't understand how people know their body fat percentage. Is there a store you go to or an app for this? How do you accurately measure body fat percentage?
At the body fat percentage store.
Yeah. You didn't know? Like,
Stop it.
I mean, I think it's right. Yeah. I'm not going to say
It's
it.
down the street from the Safeway where you get.
Yeah, exactly. It's right next door to the keto store.
Yeah. The
right.
Keto Emporium. Yeah.
It's right next door where they sell all the ketones. Yeah. So the age old, what's my body fat? Look, there's a lot of ways to do it now. For a long time, the gold standard was what they call hydrostatic weighing or underwater weighing, where they basically are checking your displacement of water to find out total density and the makeup of that density in a tank. You would literally get in this tank. You would, before getting in this tank, they would take height, weight. They would also measure lung volume. And then, among a couple other things, you get in this tank. Basically, ideally, you'd be naked. You sit in it, you exhale all of the air that you could get out of your lungs. You're then submerged underwater, and then a calculation is made based on displacement of water. That's obviously very impractical. And
Sounds fun.
Yeah, I've done it for a long, long time. That's the gold standard. If you're not doing hydrostatic weighing, then you don't have an accurate representation of what your body fat is. Then any device, any measurement that came out after that was always compared against the quote-unquote gold standard hydrostatic or underwater weighing. And so you saw a lot of things over the years. You saw one of the most popular ones that came out was bioimpedance, which is still used. But initially when it came out, these handheld devices that you'd hold your arm straight out in front of you, grab it, looks like a little almost like a Nintendo controller kind of thing. You would wrap your palms around it. It had little electrodes like you'd find maybe on your treadmill or your elliptical trainer for measuring your heart rate. It sends an electrical impulse through your body, and it would kick out, and then, you would, again, height, weight, gender, age, those things would be entered into the machine, and then it would kick out a body fat percentage, muscle density, a thing. The bottom line was those are generally very inaccurate. So that's, at the time, like we used to use those in the business because it was very convenient. I can't send you to have hydrostatic weighing, so we're just going to use this thing. A lot of things went into that being accurate or inaccurate. Water retention was a thing. Meals were a thing. Lots of things were you doing it wet versus dry, as they would say? Was this after a workout or before a workout? There were a lot of variables that went into that. And I think the most important thing to understand here is that you want to eliminate as many of the variables as you can so that you can get as much consistency, reliability, and repeatability in the measurement. And then we saw that start to advance.
That technology improved.
It advanced, like most technologies do, it got better. I think it's way more quote unquote accurate. Then there's another one, that we look at was like a DEXA scan. Yeah, that you could do. So they would, it's more or less like an X-ray, so to speak. And it would be able to, tell you like limb for limb where you were holding this body fat and all of these things.
Those are very costly and they take up a lot of space.
Yeah, you have to have the device. You have to get inside the device. There was also like a bod pod they were using for a while where you could get in and you could sit in this thing and it acted much like the hydrostatic weighing. I'm going down all this to get to the final point, which is, first off, why does it matter? Like, is it important? I think it's important if we're tracking to make sure that we're moving the right direction.
An objective measure of progress.
1,000%. Like we definitely want to know that we're moving in the right direction. But to understand, going back to the food label question we answered, to know exactly what it is at any given time is unreasonable. it shouldn't be the highest level of importance. It's a tool, just like the scale is for understanding your weight, to understand the direction that you're moving. But to answer the question directly, one of the things that's gotten really popular out there that we employ here is a machine. Maybe you guys want to talk about that a little bit, and
the InBody.
Yeah, the InBody machine, and kind of what it provides and how it works.
Yeah, the InBody machine is a bioimpedance. It utilizes the bioimpedance, but it is a little more advanced than what had been used in the past, and it also depends on the model of InBody machine that you have, the depth of data that you are going to get from it. So some of the more basic models are not going to give you as much data as the more advanced models, but you're going to get body water details. You're going to get, in a more advanced model, you're going to get body water details. You're going to get muscle mass details, skeletal muscle mass, which is different from dry lean mass. You're going to get body fat percentage, BMI. You're going to get some type of what's called a segmental analysis, where that can tell you the distribution of muscle mass, distribution of body fat mass. So the one that we have here is one of the more advanced models that's going to give us a good amount of detailed data. And it can be, just like you said, it's a good tool to utilize as some objective black and white data that we put up against our subjective data over time in terms of how are you feeling? How do you look in the mirror? Progress photos, how are clothes fitting? All of those subjective measures of progress. And then we can compare that with the objective black and white. Well, hey,
what do we see here?
The data matches up. You weren't just, hallucinating. Your clothes actually are fitting differently. Your arms actually are bigger. You have actually gained muscle mass, or you have actually lost body fat mass.
Yeah, the question is where do I go? So there's a lot of people that have employed these, like a lot of gyms, a lot of training studios like us have done that. Like in this case, like with InBody, like you can get on a database where you can get on like the InBody website and check, hey, who's got one near me? That's one way to do it. Nutrition centers or like supplement sales stores or nutrition type stores, they put these in there. They may be offering some type of services around it. A lot of gyms, mainstream gyms have them as well. And usually there's a fee, and usually you're buying, either a one-off, you pay whatever fee that they're requiring. It can be anywhere from like $20 to $50 or whatever, for you to utilize the machine. It should be probably used if you're checking regularly. Any time period that doesn't span at least a 4-week period is probably, unless you're dieting down for a show or some kind of a contest or something like that, where it's really critical that we're moving in the right direction. Yeah, but every 4 weeks, is probably at.
It's what I typically recommend with my clients is once a month to measure how we're going.
In terms of purchasing like packages of this stuff, we sell them like 1-packs and 3-packs. Like, hey, save a little money. If you buy 3 at a time, and we'll see you over the next 3 to 4 months here as you're coming in to check these out. So look up InBody. I think that's a great one. It's very very convenient, non-invasive. You're literally in and out. You can do it wet or dry. Wherever you go, whatever you decide to do in terms of purchasing this service, I would choose to use the same place and the same machine, the same equipment every time, so there's consistency. Don't go to one place and not like your number and then go to another place expecting or looking for a different number.
The calibration of the machines can be different place to place, and I have seen that with my clients before, where they'll be doing scans here and then they'll be doing scans somewhere else, and I'm like, this data doesn't really match up. Like there's these. It's close, but it's not the same. Yeah,
be cautious of that. I think consistency is a big thing. And a lot of times these places, will offer some type of like a package deal or a service offering along with it. And what I really encourage people to do is get in touch with whoever those people are that are maybe running the place that you're at, and have a conversation with them, because you will oftentimes get kicked out some type of report, or any of these things will kick out some type of report. And it can be a little bit tough, getting through, like carving through all the information. What does this mean for me here, and how should I be interpreting this? They can help you there. Sometimes that's part of the service offering. For anybody listening to this, if you're in the local area or passing through, give us a call. Mention that you heard this on this podcast, and we'll give you an InBody for free.
Next question. Is there a difference between full fat versus low fat dairy products like milk and yogurt? Is one healthier than the other? I've heard arguments from both sides, but still not sure which one to buy.
So that's a very good question. And I am in the full fat dairy camp because that is going to be a more natural form, and the fat content of dairy, caveat being that it's some type of, it comes from grass-fed cattle. The source matters in terms of the dairy that you are ingesting. Low-fat products tend to have chemical additives in them that will improve the flavor or the consistency because you've removed the natural fat content. I am not one for demonizing dairy or full-fat dairy. Eating fat doesn't make you fat. If you are sensitive to dairy, or obviously if you're lactose intolerant, don't eat it. But the demonization of dairy, that I don't think has a lot of evidence based arguments. And yeah, the low fat stuff tends to have all kinds of 12 syllable ingredients in it. Yeah,
I think why are people choosing low fat? They're generally choosing low fat to eat lower calories.
Yeah.
And you could probably be pulling those calories out of something else, rather than worrying about the fat that's coming on board with the dairy. And the other part is like, you have to look at is like, how much dairy am I eating? And how does my body responding to this? And so, is it unhealthy to eat low fat all the time? No, we're not saying it's going to kill you. Just to your point, I think it's, hey, just understand that when you onboarding the low fat marketed stuff, not the stuff that is naturally low in fat, right? But stuff that has been marketed as low fat, like you've got your yogurts, let's just say, made from whole milk that are sitting on the shelf, and I'll just use this brand like Faye, that looks like phage. In the dairy box at the market, you've got really 3 different kinds. You've got your whole, right? So it's your full or your whole. Then you have your low fat, which is like a 2%, and then you have a 0%. When you look at those and you look at additives in terms of preservatives and things like that, and things to your point to make it a little bit more palatable, the consistency wise, they're going to change. That said, like if you're eating low fat or 0 fat products, it's not necessarily going to kill you. Let's not scare people with it. But if you are trying to eat more close to the earth and trying to keep your onboarding or intake of things that may not be so healthy for you, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I don't eat a lot of dairy. It doesn't sit well with me. My body doesn't digest it as well as it maybe used to when I was a kid. And a lot of people, that's the same. You know,
I'm the same way. But you know what? I can tell you in the last maybe 3 to 4 months, I've started doing more whole dairy products, and actually longer than that. But I've noticed that digestion of it for me is easier. And I've been lactose intolerant since high school. And when I would consume low fat dairy products, oh my God, the gas would hit me instantaneously. And when there's more fat in the dairy, it's easier for me to digest. So I'm not nearly as gassy. So I'm pro, full fat dairy. Again, it's just quantity. How much you're taking in.
Everybody's different.
Yeah.
It depends.
It depends.
Depends.
Next question. How accurate is the weight written on plates? I've been going to 24 for the last few months, but I finally finished my home gym and I'm working out there. Suddenly, everything feels harder and I'm failing most exercises. I'm assuming the weights are different in the gym, right?
Yeah. So what they're talking about when they talk about plates, they're talking about like, have these things actually been like evaluated or like assayed for like, if it says 45 pounds on the weight plate, does it actually weigh 45 pounds? I love this question.
That's a very good question. I've never heard that question posed before. So that's,
So this is something I learned very, very early by the bodybuilders that were in the gym that I was working out in as a young guy. They were very particular about the 45-pound plates they were putting on the bar. Like when they were doing bench press or rows or squatting, like they would literally kind of go fishing through the gym to find, because plates would be,
back in the old days,
moved around from different places. And back in back in the day. Like there was a company called Ivanco. I think they may still be around. And Iron Grip was also still around. You kind of see these things. Anyway, the point of this is they were very particular, and I was like, what the fuck are you guys doing? You know? And they're like, well, if you think that 45-pound plate weighs just the same as much as that 45-pound plate, go over there and put them. Go put them both on the scale over there separately and tell me what you find out. And I did it. I was like, I never thought of this, right? I never thought I was to put it over there. We did this, like once we got started, we're like, holy shit, let's do another one. Like the variance was like up to 2.5 pounds in some cases. So that's pretty significant. A 2.5 pound variance is pretty significant. Like if you're just going meathead style and you're going in there and you're just going for it, maybe it doesn't fucking matter. But if you're really being calculated about your training program and making sure that you're accurately tracking and accurately looking for progressive overload, and you know, like if your goal is to be a competitive weightlifter or power lifter, this shit matters, right? It matters a lot. So no, they don't all weigh the same, and there are factors that go into this, and there are ways to avoid this. But if you're going to like a 24-hour fitness or like a mainstream gym, chances are you're not getting anything that's been calibrated. You're just getting what came off the assembly line. And when it comes off the assembly line, it's usually some raw material that goes into this, right? Or variations of raw material. You get this plate, it's typically casted, right? So that means they pour it into a form, right? And then they punch it out from there. And then it's polished or put into like some type of a tumble to knock off the hard edges or whatever. And then it's finished. Maybe it's coated with rubber, maybe it's coated with powder coat or paint or whatever. Every step of that process matters in terms of the ultimate weight at the end. No, they're not all going to weigh the same. And so, you know, should you be worried about that? I don't know. Like, should that prevent you from going to the gym or having a talk with the manager? An
average individual looking for general health and wellness?
I don't know, but I appreciate the question. Ways to avoid that? If you move more over to the weightlifting or the powerlifting side of the house, right? That or the genre, if you will. This is when the shit matters, and there are companies out there that go through a painstaking process and will nearly guarantee you that the weights that you're getting have been calibrated and are weighted appropriately. Companies like Alico, companies like WorkSon, those are companies that they have their mainstream plates that they don't put that much time into, that much process into, and then they have the ones that, you know, are calibrated for competition. And so if it's that important to you, you can't get them. Obviously,
it's going to cost more.
Yeah, it's going to cost more. So when you walk into gyms and you see like, and again, just because you see the name or the stamp Alico on a plate doesn't mean that 20 kilo Alico plate weighs the same as the other 20 kilo Alico plate. There are specific models and that they spend a lot more time calibrating. So that's a good question. That's a really good question. But at the same time, it's like, how important is that to you? If you're weightlifting or powerlifting and you're going to go into competition, shit matters. Otherwise, I wouldn't worry about it.
Next question. I've started seeing people in the fitness industry eating animal organs like heart and liver. What is the actual benefit here, and why isn't regular meat not good enough? Or why is regular meat not good enough? It just seems gross to me.
So organ meat versus regular, like let's just say muscle meat, right? From an animal, and what are the benefits? Oh, and or downsides of eating both?
What is the actual benefit? Yeah, let me just read the question.
Okay.
I've started seeing people in the fitness industry eating animal organs like heart and liver. What is the actual benefit here, and why is regular meat not good enough? It just seems gross to me.
Isn't there a king of that kind of stuff?
There might have been. I don't think he's the king anymore.
It seemed to work really well for him.
Well, sure. Like there's a lot of things that worked really well for him, as it turns out. Yeah, organ meat.
Well, it's the point or the purpose is there's a higher vitamin and mineral density, especially in liver. Like for example, liver has a higher density of iron, a higher density of zinc, higher density of selenium as well, I believe. That's really what it boils down to, is there's a higher vitamin and mineral density in in organ meats. And that just kind of comes part and parcel with the biological processes of the animal that you are consuming. As far as how you stomach it, that really is up to you. For example, beef liver, it can be a little bit gritty. It can be a little bit grainy. I personally think it tastes good. It smells kind of funky, but it is very nutrient rich. That's the point.
Yeah, and the nutrient rich is the thing. The other thing is it's typically very lean, right? So if you're looking to eat something that's very low fat and very nutrient dense, and by volume, you could eat a little less than volume of the organ meat to get the same amount of protein you would get, say, from a ribeye, and you're not onboarding the fat. So if you're looking to eat, again, nutrient dense, low fat, the organ meats work out great. To say that if I eat Rocky Mountain oysters and that's going to raise my own testosterone level is fucking ridiculous. So that's not a case for eating this, eating organ meat. It's purely in the sense that you spoke about there, Steve. And I think there's other things there too. Like depends on where how it's sourced is very important. If I'm eating liver from a grain-fed, hormone-treated, antibiotic treated cow, then where's all that stuff being filtered through? It's being filtered through the liver, and kidneys and wherever else too, but specifically the liver. And as it goes through there, just understand that basically becomes a storage house or a filtration place for that stuff. And you are what you eat, in a sense. So you may be onboarding some of those things that come along with it. So where you're sourcing from is important as well. When you start looking at wild game, you get different variations of these things, heart, liver, and some of the other organs that people are messing around with. But it's really those two
main ones. Yeah.
I think are the main ones for people that may be more nutrient dense than your typical, livestock that you get. So there's a case for that. Like there are some cases for that depending on what you're eating. But going back to the regular meat, is it good enough? Well, the answer really is what is your goal? If your goal is to eat more protein, certainly good enough. Right? Certainly good enough. From a nutrient density perspective, I'm not going to say we're splitting hairs because we know like in a let's just say from the same cow, right, that was grass-fed, non-antibiotic treated, non-hormone treated, all that stuff, you're going to get there's a lot more nutrient density ounce for ounce in that same cow's liver than in let's say their flank, right, or their backstrap or whatever the case is. But it's perfectly fine. Like you can totally eat it. And I get what you're saying. It's gross because a lot of times the way this is portrayed, this person's like, it just seems gross. A lot of ways this is portrayed is by this particular individual you brought up at the beginning, Stephen, where it's a lot of times it's being eaten raw.
Yeah, it's like in Raiders of the Lost Ark, like and like taking it out and eating it raw. Like
there's a lot of sensationalization about eating raw, right? Yeah. That is an entirely different thing. Cooked liver versus cooked, New York steak. We're splitting hairs here. You can eat the stuff. However, it's just like people are more used to eating, the regular cuts of meat than they are the organs. And in a lot of cases, like you said, because of texture, because of maybe
flavor too, flavor profile, it's usually a little bit stronger.
Yeah, there's some
gaminess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's some different. Yes, gaminess is a really good way of looking at it, particularly if you're eating wild game. You know what we're talking about. Where it's like, oh, that's a little different. Some people really enjoy that, and other people are like, that's just weird,
strong,
and it's quote unquote gross. So I get it. Just make sure you're getting your protein in, and huge proponent for animal protein. But if you expect to look like the dude, the dude formerly known as Liver King, by eating raw organ meat, and that's gonna do it, just stop it.
Just stop it. All right, what's the best thing to eat the night before a big workout? This guy's trying to hit a new PR this week and wants to know what to eat the night before.
It's not necessarily the night before.
Yeah, I'd say I need more information. Mm-hmm. What PR are we talking about? Like, in what type of an exercise? I can make some assumptions here. These probably lifting weights, but If we're talking about a PR on the track, right? My meal might look a little bit different, or in the pool might look a little different than on the platform at at the gym.
Yeah, again,
we can make some assumptions.
We can
so let's
assume.
do that.
Yeah, again, now I'm thinking it really depends on what lift we're talking about here, but some combination of both protein and carbohydrates is typically going to be your go-to. You probably don't want to go into a PR like that fasted. But yeah, and also to your point, CC, there's not like, you can't be like screwing off for 3 months and then, well, I'm going to have my turbo meal the night before this PR and gain the strength of 10 men because I ate extra protein or had some liver or some testicle. I don't know whatever.
It's a huge depends question or an answer, because we have no idea what this guy's history is coming into this. But to put your PR around one meal, I think is telling that we're asking that question, that there's a lot more to uncover there, and there needs to be a lot more awareness. It wouldn't be any different to me than on any other training day, if I'm being honest, because I would want to know that I'm consistently walking in to my days.
Yep.
No, anything I do the night before, at that point, the night before I want a PR,
it's too late.
It's too. Yeah, that's not where the gains are made.
Yeah, it's the old adage is, practice like you play. You're not going to, go into a competition. You can consider, achieving this PR your competition and do something different than you've been practicing. That doesn't make any sense.
It makes about as much sense as the old story about the marathon runner who puts on the brand new pair of shoes morning of the marathon, but they've been training in these other shoes for the last 2 months, and then they get 5 miles into the race and they can't continue because they're blistered and their feet are destroyed. Like that's backwards thinking. Yeah.
Practice like you play.
We got a RDF Strong question here. I almost bought RDF Strong, but I didn't because I wasn't sure I had the time to commit to actually putting in the work. What do I actually get when I spend the $129? And is there a refund or test period for RDF Strong?
All right, great question. Couple questions. I mean, been in the gym business a long time, right? Coaching business a long time. I think it's interesting that's what's pre-programmed into the human psyche. You'll open up with this, is that when faced with the decision to make a commitment, one of the first things that just comes out of there is like, well, what's my option to quit?
Yeah, how can I bail?
And do I get my money back?
Do I get my money back when I decide to do that? So I think we got to talk about two things, and then we can talk about like, what do you get and the time piece. So if you're looking to improve anything or engage in some type of a program, the commitment piece is the most important, one of the primary keys to your success anyway. And 1,000%.
Commitment and mindset.
Yeah. So the mindset or the commitment is a part of the mindset. I think it's interesting. Like, I remember starting my own business, right? And walking away from a very lucrative, corporate job where a lot of things were afforded to me. I have nothing bad to say about it. I was making a good living and
still in the fitness business,
having a good life. I was in the fitness business, and I walked away from that to start my own business. And people looked at me like I was nuts. It was during a time where we transitioned. I transitioned into this during a weird economic time. It was like 2009, 2010. So a lot of stuff had been happening. The reason I bring that up is because for me, when I started this, that was what I committed to. And that was how I was going to put food on my table. And that was how I was going to pay my mortgage. And that was how I was going to pay my car payments and all the rest of the things that I had built my lifestyle around, put my kid in school and all of those things. I did not ever in my mind think about quitting. Not ever, not one time. It was 100%. This is the plan. I put together a plan, and then I executed that plan. Somebody else didn't put that together for me. I had to go all in on that plan and then all in on me. So there were no fucking lifeboats. I burned those. I burned the lifeboats. We are doing this journey. And I had people come up to me, dude, that's so brave. And what happens? What's your fallback plan? There is no fallback plan. I don't have a fallback plan. Now, I understand that people, again, deep in the human psyche, the thought about quitting before you've started, particularly in the gym or the fitness business, is a big deal. Like that's just what you have to have a cancellation policy for, and things happen. Yes, I get it. But to come into it with like, okay, so this is all great, and you've shown me everything I'm going to need in order to get to finally do what I've been trying to accomplish forever. How do I get out of this?
Yeah.
How do I quit this? I think that's stinking thinking from the get-go. But I also understand that's in your DNA and it's deeply rooted there. It's pre-programmed, on the motherboard, and that what I'm saying right now isn't going to change it. Yeah, but all you're telling me is like your program sucks and I'm not going to get my money back. So here's the next thing. No, I don't offer a money back guarantee. I never have and I never will. If you hate it, let's talk about it. What is it that you hate? Because I want to understand what that is. Like you're going to owe that to me. Like I've given you this product. You now have access to this product. Even though I give you your money back, you're still going to have the product. RDF Strong is a digital product, right? So once you have it, you've got it, right? There's no way for you not to have it anymore. And just because you don't want it anymore doesn't mean there's value in it. I have to stand by that, right? As a business owner. And I think any coaches should be wanting to stand by that as well. I think there's a lot of value in it. I know there's value in it. I know that works. Maybe it's not working for you for whatever reason. Let me help you with that. So that's how I kind of preface this. And maybe that's like not the best way to try to sell a program, but here's what you do get with that program. Let's talk about that. First off, we've done the work for you. We've planned it out. So what you're getting with RDF Strong is you're getting a 4-month program. And it's a 4-month periodized program that helps people build muscle and strength in a very organized, structured way. And it does that for a person that is probably more from like the novice to intermediate exercise age type of person. So if you're somebody that's dabbled around the weight room or dabbled around the gym, this is going to be a great, and you have never really been involved in any type of an organized or structured program. This is going to be great for you because it's going to introduce you to a lot of the basic concepts and a basic structure for success. Not one that we invented, right? Just one that we organized for you. And it's all based on science. It's all based on experience. And it's a collaborative effort from a lot of people that have had a lot of success, taking the best and the worst and figuring out what works best for most people. So when I say most people, I mean most people that fit that category, that are generally healthy and just want to build some muscle and put on a little bit of strength. So that's part of it. Did I miss anything with the who's it for?
No, I think you nailed it right there as far as who's it for.
So what do you get with it? So when you get the program, you get again digital product. So you automatically get access to the whole program. We're not withholding anything from you. You get access to a learning platform, which is where all the workouts are housed, where all the materials are housed. And so when I say materials, you're going to get a couple things. You get access to this platform, which is easily accessible on your laptop or your tablet or your phone, which is, phone is where most people access it because they're out in the gym, in their garage, or at a commercial gym or wherever they happen to be. So it's easily pulled up and followed through. Within there, you're going to find what we call the user guide. So you can use your guide. Some people prefer to print that off. It's in a PDF format. It's also digital, so you can read through it that way if you like. Within there are hyperlinks to take you to exercises and tutorial videos, which we'll talk about, and things like that. But there's tons of information on there. Not just here's the workout template. Here's what this program is. Here's how to make it useful and effective for you. Here's how to choose your own adventure to some extent. Like we know there's not a one size fits all. You've purchased what we'll call more of a generalized program for the masses. That's a tough part about putting together these programs is everybody's an individual, but there are some basic principles that we can apply to most individuals to get them success. And so we've done that. But we've also recognized that, hey, maybe some of these things need to be modified for you. Maybe you need to go a little bit over here in this direction in order to come back to this direction. So we've provided resources and ways for you to do that. Inside there are tutorial videos. So we get into depth in a few things. In the reading, which is also supported by videos. So if you don't like to read, then don't read. we provide short videos for you to understand the concepts that you should be utilizing that's going to help you maximize yourself within the program, or maximize, your results within the program. And then obviously, maybe not obviously, there is a workout template there. Here's what you do on these days, reps, sets, rest times, the days of the week you should be working out, alternative exercises if this isn't going to work for you, and a video tutorial for each one of those. And when I say video tutorial, one of the things that we found when we were putting this together is like people don't want to watch a 5-minute video on how to do a barbell back
They don't want to
squat.
watch a minute video either.
You're right. They don't want to watch this long explanation video. They just want to know what the exercise is. If they want to know more about that particular exercise, you want to nerd out on that, and you're one of those people,
show me how to do it.
There's a billion of those videos out there. We weren't trying to reinvent the wheel. We were just like, hey, here's what that thing looks like.
Where do I stand?
Here's some tips. Here's how you might position yourself. In 8 to 10 seconds or 8 to 12 seconds, it's over, right? Here's a couple different angles on it. If you want to watch it again, you can watch it again. So we've tried to make them like very, very simple there. So those are kind of the materials that you're getting when you're doing it. How does it work? It's 4 phases. You're going to go through 4 phases. You're going to go through a basic adaptation phase at the beginning, where you're going to be going through some basic movement patterns that set you up for long-term success. There's a hypertrophy phase where we're really working on muscular growth. We work into strength phases, then we work into capacity phase, where you're building a little bit more capacity so that you can handle the higher intensity work in phase 4, which is your major strength phase. What it isn't is this is how you do the biggest bench press you've ever done in your life for your 1 rep max at the powerlifting meet. That is not what this is. You may hit some PRs. We hope you do, along your journey here, but it isn't it is not this is how you go to the powerlifting meet and do the squat, the bench, or the deadlift. We do work those, you do work those movement patterns. We do put those basic foundational movements in there, but that's not what it is. It's about, again, no novice person should not be their goal immediately. They need to build basic hypertrophy and strength. And so the lessons that you learn, the gains that you make, the value that you get from the product are long lasting. You'll have it forever. These principles don't change. They are the same, no matter, they will be probably till the dawn of time, unless some miraculous thing happens in the world of human physiology and or biomechanics. So you get this program you have access to forever. And I think the last part of it is what I mentioned in the beginning, which is if you're involved in any of our programs, we consider you a client. So at any given time, one of the other things you get is you'll get access to us as a team. And you can have direct access to us as a team, not logging into some Facebook group where you post your question and when somebody has time from their other job to get back to you, to answer your specific question or whatever it is, they do that on their time. We have people here all day long, every day. Pick up the phone, give us a call, send us a quick email, send us a text message, and we will get back to you promptly to get you on your way and keep you on your program.
Going to say episode 69 too. You guys spent an hour. Right. It was episode 69 if people are interested in learning.
Yeah, we talk a lot more about the concepts, the principles, and some of the specifics that you'll encounter when you get into RDF Strong.
Up for a few more? Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. All right, so this guy is on protein consumption, this question. It is said that your protein consumption per day, 154 grams for this individual, should be spread over 3 to 4 meals. Why is this? Is it more beneficial to have it spread out like that, or will the result be the same if I muck all of it down in under 3 minutes?
Oh, wow. That hurts my stomach.
The result, how? Like, what result are we looking for?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess in theory, it could be the same result, but in practical application, it's going to be pretty difficult for you to consume 154 grams of protein in one sitting. I think probably the individual asking the question is driving at is that whole, like, how much protein can I absorb at one time? Is there some type of limit to how much protein I can consume in one meal and how much my body can process.
My anabolic window.
Yeah. I mean, I have never seen anything that definitively answers that question, that like, if you consume more than 37 grams of protein in one sitting, the rest is useless. It goes to waste. I've never seen a definitive answer for that.
Think about that. How could that even be measured?
Because
everybody's different.
Yeah, I think that is probably where the question is derived from. Is there's this thought out there that there is some sort of max absorption in one sitting. But again, from just a practical standpoint, I would suggest spacing it out, because that's just going to give you a tummy ache. If you try to consume that much protein at once, it's going to make you feel bloated. It's not going to feel very good. Physically.
The other thing to think about here is like, let's just look at this practically. I think you're probably right. I mean, the guy's asking the question in maybe a little bit of a different way. I don't want to put words in his mouth or even in yours, but we look at macronutrient consumption and how we do it. There's a lot of factors that go into this. Like, what does my schedule of my day look like? And that includes my workouts or where I need to perform, what I might need or not want or not want in my gut at particular times of the day based on, the activity level that I have and so forth. So the other thing to think about is like, whenever I'm onboarding macronutrients, proteins, carbohydrates, and fats, I'm almost never consuming those as a standalone. There's always a mixture, right? Partly because of the question he's asking, which is, I need to get this all in a day. How do I do that? Like, if I needed 70 grams of fat in a day, I'm not going to put that all in my system at one time for the same reasons you just said. That's not going to feel very good. Partly of the processing of your protein and the processing of your fats and your carbohydrates, the body tends to do a little bit better when they come in combination. And the gastrointestinal effects of putting, those combinations in is how your body is designed to work.
Yeah. How much fiber are you consuming at the same time as this protein? That's same thing with fat. Yeah. All of those. We're designed to eat things in combination.
That said, what we can't tell you is like, when we look at calories, like whether you ate all of your calories for the day at one time or spread them out over the course of the day, over time, if your calories are equated, right, over time, you're not going to gain or lose weight. You'll gain or lose weight irrespective of the timing of your food. However, there are advantages to timing your food out. So same with protein. You may like a higher protein breakfast than not eat so much through lunch, through your snacks, and then get, more like a midday meal and then post workout. You can kind of do it however you want. But if you had 154 grams to get in a day and you put, 20 in the morning, then you did 75 in the midday, and then, you came back in the evening and you're putting in another 50 then, and then I have this whole amount of protein that I need to get in later in the day. While it may not be awesome literally putting it into the system, the impacts are probably going to be the same. There are probably people that are going to argue this.
Oh, yeah.
But the reality of it is there's just not any evidence that suggests otherwise, where you can say that like putting it in at this point or that point is going to make all the difference in the world.
Yeah, I think that to a degree you're overcomplicating things. And again, you always have to think of practical application and what you're actually going to be able to execute consistently versus what is, scientifically optimal. Like, most people really don't need to worry about that. You need to worry about just doing it.
Yeah, that's the thing. And so for people that most people don't get enough protein or struggle to get it in, however it's going to get into your system, the most convenient, easiest, habitual, and consistent way possible for you.
Execute?
Do that for a while, and then you can make some adjustments if necessary.
Then you can optimize from there.
Whatever that means.
If you're an advanced user.
Yeah.
Let's try to knock out a couple more here. Here's a quick one on creatine. Can anyone who's looking to build muscle benefit from creatine, or is it just for the huge mega lifters?
We did a podcast on that.
Here's the creatine question again. The answer is yes, everybody. I forget what episode it was. We can come back to that. But creatine, quick overview. We went into this one in depth, but quick overview. Next to caffeine, probably the most studied, researched, journaled, peer-reviewed, and anecdotal supplement on the face of the earth next to caffeine with regard to sports performance. We are we are now seeing a lot of research being done for neural and cognitive performance around the supplement creatine. It's for everybody. Everybody can benefit.
Yeah, it's as much a longevity supplement as it is an athletic performance supplement. It's something that your body produces naturally. If you are, say, a woman, it is not going to make you some giant gorilla. That's not something you need to worry about. It's ubiquitous. It's something that everybody can use and everybody can see some benefit from if you are, from the teenage athlete to the 75-year-old who's just trying to maintain independence and mobility. It can be beneficial for anyone in between. So there's really, it can be applied to basically anyone.
Yeah, it's very safe and very easy to get your hands on. It's not expensive, so it's something if you can put it in, put it in. We covered the nuance of this in that episode in detail, like when, how much, who. Some of the science behind it, what exactly is it doing in the body? What should you expect from a results, quote unquote, results perspective, or what might you expect from a downstream negative effects perspective? And to your point, it's very safe. So it's not those things, it's just how much and how that might, things allude to this. You might get an upset stomach. Like we've talked about this with the protein, or taking too much of anything could upset things. Those kind of things are all covered in detail in
episode 83.
Episode 83.
Good old 83.
Okay, we got one on apple cider vinegar, fruit juice. Yeah. We got one on, we got building muscle. Do you guys have preferences? Just want to get two more in.
I'm curious about the apple cider.
Yeah, let's do apple cider vinegar. I know where this is going.
ACV. Yes, I mean.
There's many abbreviations in this one, ACV.
Yeah, I love it.
Does apple cider vinegar, ACV, actually do anything? ? I've taken a shot of Bragg's ACV every morning for the last year, and I eventually stopped because it was too strong on an empty stomach, even after dilution. Now I have ACV gummies and put a little bit of the Bragg's in my green juices to mask the taste. However, I feel like it's a total fad. ACV.
Apple cider vinegar. Where did this come from?
Apple cider vinegar? Oh, I mean,
no, not where is it derived, but where did this?
Oh, like where
did this compulsion for people to drink apple cider vinegar every morning?
Is it Dr. Gundry?
I think weight loss.
100% comes from that. Yeah. But I'm just wondering, like, where and who. If I could find that person and punch him straight in the face, I would.
believe the Bragg's, they claim to have created the health food store. If you actually read the bottle of Bragg's ACV, they are from Santa Barbara, and they claim that, like, we invented health food stores.
Oh, that's great. So, good for you, Bragg's.
Oh, wasn't in Santa Cruz? No, I'm just
kidding. Like in the early 1970s or something, like we invented the health food store.
Sweet.
Yeah.
They invented the farm.
Yeah. They invented human nutrition. Actually.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Apple cider vinegar. I mean, I have questions like, why are you doing this?
Yeah. But I'm guessing weight loss.
A lot of people do it with the understanding that it's going to help with weight loss at some level.
And I think there are some benefits to apple cider vinegar, but they're massively overblown. And I used to, and the gummies conversation, I got something for that too. If you are talking about for weight loss, because of the high acidity of apple cider vinegar, it can stimulate digestion, and therefore it can be beneficial in regularity and you dropping some waist pounds. A lot of people may have,
waste meaning
like 5 to 10 pounds of poop, right?
Waste.
You might be full of shit, literally.
Yeah.
And that is just poor digestive regularity. So you might see weight loss simply because you are
becoming more
getting
regular.
that. Yeah, you are getting that shit out of your intestines.
Roto-rooter.
And and so the acidity of the apple cider vinegar can stimulate digestion. Our stomachs are acidic environments, so that can stimulate that. Also, the whole thing about taking it on an empty stomach, it can curb cravings, or it can curb appetite a little bit. So if you are getting some weight loss benefits from apple cider vinegar, it's because it is curbing your appetite, specifically in the morning. I don't know, maybe because your gut is burning now because you just had this, maybe because it tastes like smelly feet and now you don't want any food or something. But it can have the effect of curbing appetite. So those would be the benefits that I feel have some
of all the purported benefits.
Yeah, it's not going to cure your cancer. It's not going to do all. Yeah, it's not this like miracle wonder tonic that some people think it is. That cures everything. That is this. It's a mystical detox. Like if you're getting some detox benefits from it, it's because of what I mentioned. You might be flushing out some feces, some waste matter that's been hanging out in your intestines for a long ass time, giving off gases, decreasing your nutrient absorption, making you feel bloated. So yeah, you might feel a little bit better because you've actually cleared some of this junk out of your system now. To address the gummies, stupid. Like it's just the amount of gummies you would need to consume to get the comparable benefits of the actual apple cider vinegar. If in 2 gummies, there's no chance in hell you're going to get the same potency. And that gummies in general, everyone needs to understand that any gummy form of any supplement is going to be a lower potency. There's no, you can't physically put the same amount of content into 2 gummies that you can into a capsule or something that you consume in a liquid form. So I was in the, deep in the retail supplement business when the whole Goli apple cider vinegar gummy thing became a craze, and on the commercial people are doing cartwheels and I'm losing weight and yada yada. That company got in trouble based on the claims that they made about that product and how little apple cider vinegar was actually in it. It's 75% gelatin.
Yeah, it's a waste of your money.
Yeah, just have a cold glass of water to start your day.
A little bit of lemon in there, that can stimulate your digestion as well.
I was just going to say a little bit of lemon, maybe a little bit of cayenne, like in some type of a solution there. You can get similar impacts or similar effects. I mean, I started this off with, I want to punch the person in the face, whoever started this. There can be some benefits. Yeah. But the purported benefits, and again, you mentioned it being the mystical
tonic.
Yeah, the mystical tonic is just far beyond it. And by the way, I can't stand it. Like getting close to it,
I love it.
Yeah, and that's that's where the gummies come into play. Oh, this is a way that it's a tasty way to get my magical apple cider vinegar. You're really getting little to no apple cider vinegar in these gummies. And maybe if you eat 30 of them, you might, maybe you might get a comparable dose. But that's very important for people. It's very important for people to understand in general when it comes to any gummy form of a supplement, it's going to be lower potency. You're going to need to consume more of them than just swallowing a capsule.
THC gummies notwithstanding.
Yeah, that's a little different.
Be careful if you've ever had that experience.
Oh God!
If you know, you know.
going overboard. Yeah, with the THC. These are delicious.
Did you guys know that Katy Perry owns Bragg's?
Katy Perry owns Bragg's.
She's from Santa Barbara, so that makes sense.
She bought Bragg's.
She's from the Santa Barbara area.
With Orlando Bloom, it looks like in 2019. Yeah. Santa Barbara based brand.
Wow.
Started in 1912. Wow. Okay. Let's go with, if you had to choose one fast food, what would be your number one choice? What do you think is the healthiest option?
It's fun.
Oh, God.
Fast food. So I think we have to set some parameters there. Like, are we talking? Yeah, it depends. Like fast food for me, I think where most people would go with this is like the major chain restaurants. And so we do like Taco Bell, McDonald's, Carl's Jr., Jack in the Box, Burger King, those kind of things. Yeah, KFC, Chick-fil-A.
Popeyes.
What's the...
Subway.
In-N-Out Burger, that kind of stuff. I think that's probably where most people would think. When I think of fast food anymore, that's not what I think of. I think of more like convenience food because everything's been made more convenient now. So But fast food, like if I had to, what would I go to? That's a big one because I avoid it like these fast food restaurants, I avoid them like the plague. Like for a lot of years I did have them. And when you
go back,
it's just really hard. It's just so processed and so manufactured and it's coming from a facility. By the time it gets to you, it's barely food anymore in my mind. I get that it tastes good and whatever else. And yeah, you can go to restaurants and it can basically be the same or less, nutrient density and whatever else.
Dressed up a little bit, yeah.
But there's just something to be said for something coming through a drive-through window, that I could literally leave in my car or my truck on the dashboard for weeks and nothing would happen to it. It would just sit there. I could open it up and there'd be no mold on it. Yeah. There would be no smell. Outside of the smell, it would just be maybe a harder version.
Dried out a little bit.
Dried out version of what I purchased. So that in and of itself turns me off to this question. So I can't, my personal response to this is I don't have a fast food I would go to. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. If let's just say this. If I'm if I'm trying to get away from my adult life and I'm trying to be a little less responsible, and I know I'm going to be a little less responsible. Let's say I do some things during the evening or whatever, put some other substances in me in the evening that may alter my inhibitions, if you will. And I decide at 2 a.m., right, that I'm gonna go deep into the fast food cave. What would I choose? Based on taste alone and culture, I'd probably go to In-N-Out Burger. Not because I think they're awesome, but because everything I know about McDonald's, Burger King, Carl's Jr.,
Jack in the Box,
all of those places, putting those things in me makes me sick thinking about it. I'm just gonna be honest, upsets my stomach. So thinking about it, I'd probably go there.
I'll tell you what.
Not proud of that. Just saying.
I tell you what I choose, and I can't stand this place. I walk into this place, and my stomach just starts. I start getting nauseous, and that's Subway. Bet I would probably choose Subway if I had to choose, because I have more control of what's being put on the item. But every Subway smells the same. Every Subway, and I got so sick of Subway when I traveled, with sports teams and stuff like that. But as far as options and macros and stuff like that and control, I Subway. But I think I'd rather starve.
Yeah, that's not a bad. Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad one to go with. I eat fresh from time to time.
What's fresh?
Eat fresh. That's their motto. Subway. Eat fresh.
Eat fresh.
When I'm in the mood, I'm gonna eat fresh. And by fresh, I mean it comes in a box. Subway might be that could be a good option for the reasons that you listed. I think someone's like, what can I practically take away from this question? If I'm craving, I actually got this question from one of our coaches the other day who one of his clients asked him, and then he asked me what I would recommend as far as I'm fiending for some fast food. What should I choose? I typically will go with, again, it depends. But some type of Mexican food can be fairly lean, again, depending on where you go. Mm-hmm. Let's just say Chipotle, because that's one that a lot of people know. That could be a decent option in terms of the quality and in terms of the content.
Having control.
You can have at least some idea what's going into it, what exactly the things are cooked with. You don't really know for sure, but you might have, a little better idea of what's in it. Something like tacos can be, fairly lean, obviously versus some enchiladas that are piled with sauce and cheese and all this stuff.
Whatever else.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's one that I could, say is, that's one that I'll go to. I mean, not Chipotle, because I think Chipotle is the most overrated place in the world, other than In-N-Out. So come at me. I'm ready for that.
No, I would agree.
But especially those of us who are, from California, how dare you speak on In-N-Out like that?
Yeah,
it's a hamburger. But yeah, Subway could be a good option. But yeah, Chipotle. Let's go with that.
So circle this back to the whole fast food thing. So with it, here's the other thing about it. It's like, that's not a choice that I would prefer people make. I would prefer that they make another choice, but I also understand they're going to do that. I think some of it is about getting your head around what is fast food. And if you're choosing quote unquote fast food because of your lifestyle, work, whatever else, and you have to make that choice, there are plenty of quote unquote fast food options in places like Sprouts, Trader Joe's, Safeway, what's the other one? Whole Foods, whatever. We answered that question a little bit earlier today. You can go in there and get quote unquote fast food that would, and a lot of times, be a much healthier choice and more nutritious or nutrient dense choice than going to one of these places that we've mentioned. At the same time, if this is just something you're looking like, it's like hey, this is like a little, getaway. It's a diet break. I rarely ever do this. So if I'm going to make the choice, I just want to make sure who fucking cares? Go have whatever you want. If you're that person that's like, I'm really on top of my game. But I'm just looking to splurge and just do something a little crazy and fucking party.
If you're going to go there, go there.
Go party. Yeah, go party. I don't care where it is. Do whatever you want. Put whatever you want in there. Don't expect an awesome result from it outside of, your immediate gratification. Just go do it. Go do it. And just know that's one of those things occasionally I like to party. Anybody does. But again, it's the frequency of the partying, I think, that gets people in trouble. So just do whatever you want to do. Yeah, whatever tastes good, whatever floats your boat.